American Comics. My Warhammer Simulator Chapter 131-140. Walala. The violent storm like the sky falling down constantly washed the desolate and broken surface. Google search reading. Accompanied by the roar of Valkyrie's engine. A flying vehicle with a broken wing suddenly swept through the air. The next moment, a tall figure suddenly passed through the blurred rain curtain and landed heavily in the muddy ground. Bang! The huge landing impact splashed countless turbid rainwater and also set off waves and ripples. The muddy water that fell on the metal armor was washed away by more raindrops falling from the sky, and finally merged into the omnipresent turbid stream. Walala. Rorschach, stepping on the turbid muddy water, raised the Gauss explosive gun with one hand. He activated the night vision function inside the helmet. His eyes quickly scanned the battlefield environment in front of him. Then, Rorschach caught a glimpse of the huge figure standing in the depths of the heavy rain curtain. It was a 4-meter-tall metal giant. The metal body made of ring structures is constantly rotating and wriggling. The gaps in the armor that occasionally appear also reflect the terrifying energy that is rolling inside. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The endless rain is evaporated into bursts of white mist by the extreme heat emitted from the surface of the metal giant. A series of scorching rays filled with the breath of destruction are constantly gushing out from the opponent's face. Almost non-stop attacking the Valkyrie hovering in the air and the human figure wrapped in a trace of lightning. There is no doubt that this is the ultimate weapon from Asgard. The destroyer armor forged by Odin, the father of the gods. Hiss. Rorschach took a deep breath, and the huge fists clenched the Gauss explosion gun. Just when he was about to drive the hunter armor and carefully approached the destroyer for a sneak attack. Rumble. In an instant, a ray of terrifying lightning suddenly lit up between the gloomy and dark clouds. Accompanied by a series of deafening roars, the terrifying lightning that gradually gathered into a winding lightning snake hit the huge body of the destroyer armor heavily. Crack! The fierce and terrifying lightning instantly interrupted the opponent's next attack. It actually directly blasted the destroyer armor deep underground. Whoosh! At the same time, the rain curtain splashing from the sky seemed to be torn apart by the vibrating air. Holding Mjolnir wrapped with strands of lightning, Thor flew in the air and came in front of Rorschach. Boom! The heavy body fell heavily on the ground, splashing countless turbid muddy water. And at the moment when Thor landed, Rorschach, with his keen senses, saw that the opponent's footsteps seemed to stagger. He looked up and found that Thor's current state was indeed not very good. The opponent's long golden hair was completely wet by the rain. It was tightly attached to the pale cheek with messy beard. Most of the red cape hanging behind him was burned off, leaving only a broken half. Even the chest of the shiny armor was covered with ugly burnt marks. However, before Rorschach could ask, Thor, with a solemn expression, said first, "Mortal warriors in the atrium, this is not your battlefield. Leave quickly, while I can still hold that guy back." Looking at the other party's miserable appearance, Rorschach, wearing a metal helmet, frowned subconsciously. He lowered his Gauss blaster aimed at the other party, released the trigger, and asked in a low voice, "Thor, what's the matter? How come you can't even deal with the destroyer?" And heard the question of the strange human. Thor's blue eyes flashed with a trace of doubt. "You know me, how do you know it's the destroyer? Forget it. It's not important, listen to my advice, mortals of the atrium. Damn it! It's recovered again. How many layers of the seals of the gods has it opened foolishly?" However, in the short time that Thor persuaded Rorschach to stay away from the battlefield, the metal giant that had just been blasted into the depths of the ground by the terrifying lightning climbed out of the ground again. Chi. A large amount of rain fell on the huge metal body of the destroyer again, and was quickly evaporated into wisps of white mist. Judging from the opponent's unhurried actions, it seemed that he had not suffered any fatal injuries. The next moment, Thor took a deep breath. He raised Mjolnir again with his slightly trembling thick arms. Rumble! Accompanied by the dull thunder that continued to sound. Brilliant lightning continued to fall from the gloomy sky and hit the metal body of the destroyer heavily. Unfortunately, the terrifying energy that was enough to destroy a building only blocked the opponent for a very short time. The destroyer seemed to have locked onto the target again. The metal armor on his face opened quickly, and a scorching light burst out from inside. Buzz! The consumption of continuous summoning of lightning seemed to slow down Thor's reaction speed. He had no time to dodge. He was bombarded between the armor on his chest by the scorching light. The whole person was blown away by the terrifying energy. Then, another scorching light swept towards the running Rorschach. Ding ding ding. Accompanied by the rapid sound of the Hunter Lord armor protection force field, the scorching light was stubbornly resisted by the invisible force field. I can still bear it. Rorschach's eyes suddenly lit up. He immediately raised the Gauss explosion gun in the huge boxing gloves and pulled the trigger without hesitation. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, a series of terrifying green beams quickly passed through the heavy rain curtain and accurately hit the huge body of the metal giant. However, the green beams that used to destroy everything did not play the corresponding role as Rorschach expected. Under the scouring of countless terrifying green lights, only a layer of metal on the surface of the destroyer was annihilated and evaporated into green atoms, dissipating in midair. Afterwards, the continuous green beams quickly spread to the surroundings, as if they were forcibly dispersed and deflected by a mysterious and unknown force. Rorschach couldn't help but squint his eyes. He saw that the destroyer's body was gradually lit up with dense runes. It seemed to be the power from Odin, the father of the gods. It is also the magic power of Asgard. The destroyer armor with 9 layers of God's seal is the ultimate weapon that my father painstakingly forged. It has only lifted 1 layer of God's seal and destroyed countless planets in the 9 realms. It is not an existence that can be destroyed by mortal weapons. Now it has at least unlocked 2 layers, even I am no match. At this moment, Thor, holding Mjolnir, slowly came to Rorschach's side. One of his palms pressed on the damaged armor on his chest. The rain fell along the pale cheeks and fell deep into the golden beard. A deep sadness seemed to flash in those blue eyes. Run away, mortal. It only wants to take my life. Maybe only when I die, your atrium will return to its former peace. Peace? Fart peace. Rorschach threw down the Gauss explosion gun without hesitation. He suddenly raised 2 huge gloves covered with red armor. The next second, the roar and fire of the bomb suddenly broke through the rain curtain. Boom boom boom, the huge metal body of the destroyer covered with runes was repeatedly shaken by the violent explosion, and it kept retreating backwards. Even the power of the bomb still couldn't destroy the extremely strong metal material. But it also temporarily stopped the opponent from taking the opportunity to attack. Boom boom boom, Rorschach rotated his huge boxing gloves and fired alternately. The closed metal helmet suddenly turned to Thor, who had a blank look and a little shock on his face. Thor, are you afraid of death? Asgardians are never timid, and I am the heir to the throne of Asgard. Hearing the question of the mortal warrior, Thor's blue eyes seemed to bloom with a long dormant light of lightning. Fearless, at this moment, the roar from the bomb stopped abruptly. The long-range firepower of the hunter armor was exhausted. Ha ha. A deep laugh slowly came out from the closed metal helmet. If you are not afraid of death, follow me to charge. One of Rorschach's huge gloves slightly extended forward. It seemed to grope in the void. Then, a Necron melee weapon with a length of nearly 1.6 meters. The huge fan-shaped blade with terrifying green light slowly appeared in the palm of his hand. The super phase sword. Unsheathed. Squeak. The electronic muscle bundles inside the Hunter Lord's armor began to contract and drive in response to Rorschach's will. Google search reading. An even stronger power exploded. Like an arrogant bison, it launched an astonishing charge towards the enemy in front. Thor, the god of thunder with a determined expression, showed no hesitation. He subconsciously grabbed Mjolnir's leather straps. Thor's hammer was quickly danced into a phantom. Hoo hoo hoo. Thor's body was taken off the ground and rushed towards the destroyer. Laugh. At this moment, the destroyer, who lacked explosive bomb suppression, gradually recovered. It opens up the facial armor again. A scorching light filled with the aura of destruction violently erupted from the inside. Buzz! Rorschach showed no fear when he was targeted. He once again relied on the protective force field of the Hunter Lord armor. He resisted the constant impact of terrifying energy. However, the warning buzz from inside the armor also made Rorschach understand instantly. The protective force field may not be able to sustain the destroyer's next attack. Even so, he did not stop charging. The running speed increased to the extreme. The turbid, muddy water was stirred up one after another by Rorschach's heavy footsteps. It almost formed a blurry straight line behind him. At the same time, a calm voice was quickly transmitted through the metal helmet. "Thor, buy me some time. Even the destroyer cannot withstand the destructive power of this weapon." Thor, the god of thunder, flying close to the ground, did not respond. But he chose to believe in the Midgard warriors fighting side by side. And it was accompanied by a sudden roar from Thor, the god of thunder. Threads of bright electric light reappeared in Mjolnir's shadow. It also quickly enveloped his entire figure. Rumble. In an instant, winding and twisted thunder and lightning fell from the sky again from the dark clouds. It fell heavily on the destroyer's metal body covered with runes. The next second, the destroyer, who was still preparing for an energy eruption, was directly interrupted from accumulating power. The huge metal body was shaken by the continuous lightning strikes and was on the verge of collapse. However, a scorching light full of destruction erupted from the opponent's face again. This made it impossible for Thor, the god of thunder, to avoid the spell. He could only interrupt the summoning of thunder and lightning. Choose to resist the huge damage caused by this terrifying energy. Boom! The energy impact of the scorching light sent Thor flying backwards. He fell heavily into the muddy water. A huge deep pit suddenly fell out. Boom, boom, boom. However, taking advantage of the brief moment when the destroyer was distracted, Rorschach, who continued to charge, was already close to the opponent's huge metal body. 30 meters, 20 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters. Squeak. As the distance between the two parties shortened rapidly, the hunter armor covering Rorschach's body seemed to make a mechanical sound of shrinking and twisting. His tall figure suddenly jumped up from the ground. He held the huge super-phase sword tightly with both hands and raised it above his head. Immediately afterwards, a roar penetrated the heavy rain curtain and resounded all around. For Ruth and Allfather, at this time, bursts of white mist surrounded the place. The metal body of the destroyer's ring structure kept rotating and squirming. It tried to lift a thick metal arm to block it. Destructive energy is also constantly surging in the open facial armor. It seems like it will burst out in the next second. However, the destroyer had no chance to fight back. Accompanied by Rorschach's vigorous swing, the super-phase sword filled with terrifying green light easily cut off the opponent's metal arm. Like a hot knife cutting through butter, it hit the destroyer in the face. Boom! With an incredibly smooth and silent cut, Rorschach, holding the super-phase sword tightly with both hands, fell heavily to the ground. Countless muddy water splashed up. Click! The next second, the destroyer suddenly stopped attacking and made a distorted sound of metal collapsing. The metal arm half covered with runes fell heavily into the mud and water. Immediately afterwards, a clearly visible terrifying knife mark spread rapidly downward from its face. It actually penetrated the huge metal body neatly. Click! Rorschach, who was driving the electronic muscle bundle, shouldered the super-phase sword filled with terrifying green light. Then, he turned and left without looking back. Boom! Right behind Rorschach, the huge metal body, whose internal destructive energy had long been extinguished, split into two in an instant. He fell crashing into the nearby muddy water. Boom! Facing the rain, Rorschach suddenly stopped. He twisted his neck slightly and glanced back. After discovering that the destroyer had indeed been scrapped, snort, Rorschach's intention of finishing the attack gradually dissipated. He carries a huge hyper-phased sword. He walked towards the direction of Thor, god of thunder. Soon after, Rorschach came to the edge of a huge pit. He looked down at Thor, the god of thunder, who was lying in the rain at the bottom of the pit, and asked loudly, "Thor, are you dead?" Hearing the other party's question, Thor slowly raised his messy blonde head. He blinked his blue eyes. He slightly raised a sturdy arm covered with burnt marks. He raised a universal etiquette gesture to the figure above. Ha ha ha! Instantly, Rorschach, wearing a metal helmet, suddenly laughed in a low voice. His laughter became louder and louder. It seemed to infect the Thor lying at the bottom of the pit. Ha ha ha! Thor's golden beard kept trembling, even if the flowing rain poured into his grinning mouth. He was unwilling to stop laughing from the heart. Boom boom boom. The huge fuselage of the Valkyrie slowly landed on the nearby muddy ground. The roaring engine blew up countless fine raindrops. Rorschach, wearing a helmet, glanced at the tall figure of the Iron Man David in the cockpit. He turned his head to the wounded and exhausted Thor and asked, "How are you injured?" Thor, whose long hair was casually tied up, blinked his blue eyes. He wiped the rain off his face and grinned. "I won't die for the time being. Mortal brother of the Atrium, thank you for your help. I owe you a life. Asgardians will never forget your life-saving grace. I will repay your bravery. Thor, you should take care of your family affairs first, especially." Rorschach waved his hand, interrupting Thor's promise. He also stopped talking halfway. "I understand." Thor nodded slightly with a serious expression. He took a deep breath and sighed. "Mortal brother, although I don't know how you know about Asgard. But you are right, Loki's bad behavior has crossed the line. Neither the father of the gods nor I, as the elder brother, will let him off easily. I should go too. The people of Asgard are still waiting for my return." Thor, grinning, raised his palm and patted Rorschach's armor. "When I get everything done in Asgard, I'll come to the courtyard to have a drink with you. Mortal brother, what's your name?" "Thor, this is the third time you've asked. I said my name is Rorschach." Rorschach turned his head helplessly and stared at Thor, the god of thunder, who looked embarrassed. He took off his metal helmet casually, revealing a head of gray hair and striking blue wolf eyes. The next moment, Thor couldn't help but widen his blue eyes. The golden beard on his face trembled slightly, and he asked in shock, "Ah, mortal brother. Aren't you a human too? Are you from Vanaheim? I heard there are tribes of orcs there. Who are you scolding?" Rorschach, who carried the super-phased sword, narrowed his blue wolf eyes. He subconsciously showed the fangs in his mouth. "Look, there are even fangs in your mouth. How can you still be a human?" "Ah, sorry, I was wrong. Brother Rorschach, put that damn thing down." "Ha ha ha, goodbye. Brother Rorschach." Thor, waving Mjolnir again, suddenly cut through the gradually thinning rain. Google search reading. He flew into the night sky with a hearty laugh. He rushed into the depths of the gloomy and heavy clouds. Rorschach, carrying the super-phased sword, tilted his neck slightly. The blue wolf eyes stared at the direction where the other party was going away. A smile flashed across his mouth. A few dozen seconds later, Rorschach turned to the Iron Man David, who had just stepped forward, and said with a smile, "David, help me clean up the spoils. This is the ultimate weapon from Asgard. Even if it is destroyed, the metal material on it is very precious. Maybe it can be used when making power armor." "Understood, my lord." Iron Man David, with blue light flashing in his eyes, shook his metal head. It stepped on the mud and water all over the ground and walked towards the metal wreckage of the destroyer. Rorschach took a deep breath of fresh air. He looked around at the unfamiliar dim environment. He turned and walked towards the direction of the Valkyrie transport plane. At the same time, he also retrieved the Gauss explosion gun that was thrown into the muddy water. Although it didn't work against the destroyer, but it is still one of the rare killers in Rorschach's hands. A few minutes later, the Iron Man David easily dragged the huge metal wreckage back to the cabin. Rorschach, who was sorting out weapons and equipment, immediately stood up. He helped the other party fix the metal wreckage. Then, he returned to the seat and closed his eyes to rest. Boom boom boom, accompanied by the roar of the Vector engine. The Valkyrie transport plane, with traces of damage on one wing, took off again. Slowly entered the depths of the still gloomy and heavy clouds. However, not long after, the loud sound of air tearing resounded through the night sky again. The figure of Thor actually cut through the fine rain again, landed heavily on the muddy ground. Holding Mjolnir, Thor kept blinking his blue eyes. At this moment, his brows were furrowed, and deep worry appeared on his face with a trembling golden beard. Especially when he found that Rorschach's trace had disappeared, the anxiety in his eyes became more and more intense. Thor took a deep breath. He muttered to himself. Heimdall did not respond to my call, and Asgard must have had other changes. Damn, without the transmission of the Rainbow Bridge, how can I go back? Oh, I ran too fast just now. I really need the help of Brother Rorschach now. Which direction did his flying vehicle fly away? Oh, right. Over there. Thor, with his mind turning, quickly identified the direction. He waved Mjolnir again. The whole person soared into the dark night sky. Unfortunately, the direction Thor finally chose was slightly off the flight path of the Valkyrie. A few hours later, Raditus, who was trying to modify the computer configuration in the lobby of the base, subconsciously ignored the shouts from behind. Then, it was grabbed by the expressionless Rorschach's white skull. Ah, Lord Primarch, spare my life, before it could finish its words of begging for mercy. Rorschach asked it to repair the Valkyrie transport and check the metal wreckage of the destroyer. Raditus was relieved instantly. It immediately entered a state of fanaticism of a technical priest. Even the red light in its eye sockets began to flicker non-stop. Buzz buzz buzz. The anti-gravity engine kept humming, and the two mechanical clamps stretched back and forth. The Servaskull, chanting prayers, rushed towards the underground hangar at a high speed. Rorschach stared at the other parties gradually receding back. He shook his head slightly. He took off the hunter armor on his body. Just when he was about to turn around and go back to the lounge, he remembered something. Rorschach found Jessica, who was doing shooting training. Asked her to stop what she was doing temporarily. Jessica, go to the medical room and keep an eye on the unconscious man. If he wakes up, come find me. Rorschach stared at Jessica with his blue wolf eyes blinking and said slowly. By the way, if the other party tries to resist, beat him to death, just don't beat him to death. Hearing Rorschach's order, Jessica, holding two laser pistols, nodded in confusion. No problem, boss. Rorschach turned around and left with a satisfied expression. He returned to the lounge and simply washed off the sweat on his body. Then, he lay on the cold metal bed. Gradually fell asleep. Dash 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 dash. When Rorschach opened his eyes again, the loud noises coming from outside the lounge made him frown subconsciously. Rorschach took a deep breath. He jumped up from the metal bed with a bad look on his face and walked outside. He pushed open the metal door of the lounge. He saw Bucky the Winter Soldier being swung back and forth by Jessica's metal arm. At the same time, the giggling servo skull Raditus kept circling above the heads of both parties, bouncing and jumping. Its mechanical voice seemed to be full of gloating emotions. Young man, just give me your arm and let me study it, and I will let her let you go, okay? Unfortunately, Bucky, the Winter Soldier, who fell into a coma again, could not answer any of the other party's questions. Ah, boss. At this moment, the sharp-eyed Jessica accidentally saw the expressionless Rorschach. She quickly let go of the metal arm in her hand. Poor Bucky was thrown heavily on the metal floor. Rorschach, moving his wrist, stepped forward. He first lowered his head to check Bucky's condition. After finding that the other party had just re-entered a coma, Rorschach's blue wolf eyes stared at Jessica and asked softly, "Tell me, what's going on?" Jessica, who subconsciously clenched her hands together, blinked rapidly. She swallowed nervously and said carefully, "Boss, he wanted to escape after waking up, but I caught up with him. Didn't you say I could beat him? So I did it." Raditus happened to pass by, and he took a fancy to this guy's mechanical arm at first sight. "Boss, I really didn't bully anyone on purpose, it was the damn Raditus who fanned the flames." As soon as the words fell, Rorschach narrowed his eyes slightly. He listened carefully to Jessica's beating heart with his keen hearing. Then, Rorschach nodded to Jessica and said, "Okay, there's nothing for you to do here, go and continue your training plan." "Oh." Jessica nodded slightly. She quickly glared at Redditus floating in the air, turned and ran towards the training ground. Rorschach raised his chin slightly. He stared at the servo skull that was trying to fly away secretly, grinning with fangs in his mouth. "If you can't come up with a set of blueprints for a knockoff Terminator within 1 day, I will melt you with the Necrons, Gauss explosion gun. Do you understand?" What a shame. The next moment, the servo skull Redditus suddenly let out a long wail. But knowing that it was in the wrong, it did not try to bargain. It just rushed towards the metal round table at a high speed. HMPH. Rorschach stared at the back of the other's head as it went away. The tip of his tongue subconsciously licked his fangs. Then, he bent down and picked up the unconscious Bucky and walked towards the infirmary. After Bucky was thrown back onto the multifunctional bed, Rorschach dragged a metal chair over and sat next to it. He planned to wait for the other party to wake up in person. See if they could communicate. However, a few minutes later, Rorschach, who forgot to bring his mobile phone and felt a little bored, began to shake his feet. He hesitated for a moment, but still opened the simulator page. Rorschach planned to find something to do. To kill time. Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. Open black lens bracket cooling time, 244 hours close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Do you want to consume resource time? Close black lens bracket. Rorschach stared at the remaining cooling time on the simulator. He glanced at the remaining 1009 hours of resource time. He consumed resources without hesitation and wiped out the cooling time. However, Rorschach did not start the simulation immediately. He was more interested in the only surviving space wolf. After Rorschach finished his routine silent prayer, he opened the simulator again and made a selection. Open black lens bracket simulation starting, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket current identity, Space Wolf Blood Claw Warp close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Please select your descending identity first close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. If you refuse, you will descend immediately close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Descending identity selected, Space Wolf Blood Claw close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket simulation starting, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You descended into the Warhammer universe again close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket time, unknown close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket location, unknown close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You descended into the warp for the first time. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You were sent to an unknown place by the warp turbulence. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You are seriously injured. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You are on the verge of death. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You are in a state of suspended animation. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, you are not dead. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. An extremely powerful psychic force heavily enveloped your Astartes body that was on the verge of breaking. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. It infused you with endless vitality and rekindled your dying soul fire. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You suddenly opened your eyes to the blue wolf boy. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You slightly revealed your fangs and gasped. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously clenched a power axe, Frost Fang, in your hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You turned your eyes blankly, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You saw a piece of colorful clouds that changed back and forth, and a piece of colorful airflow that seemed to have life. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously twitched your nose. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You could not detect any smell with your superhuman senses. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You quickly drove the dilapidated fine power armor to turn over and sit up. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your eyes to the blue wolf boy and scanned the unknown environment around you with great vigilance. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Everywhere you look, you see hazy and illusory images, like flowers in a mirror and the moon in the water. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You seem to see a violently erupting blood-red volcano, a magnificent garden full of greenery, an exquisite circular palace, and stacked crystal towers. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You take a deep breath. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You unexpectedly find that only the empty space below you, less than 5 meters in radius, seems to be your place of survival. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You gradually accept the reality in front of you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You kneel on one knee with your hands on the frost fang. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You pray devoutly to the Emperor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Emperor bless you. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, the hazy shadows in front of you seem to be gradually separated, and a gray and vague passage appears in front of you. Open black lens bracket. You seem to see a tall figure walking. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The other party is wearing an ancient set of Holy Shield Terminator power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He holds a huge storm shield in his left hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. In his right hand, he raised a sword of the goddess of vengeance that shone with cold light, and the storm bolter hanging on his waist kept shaking with the opponent's steps, making a series of slight collision sounds. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Just above the opponent's power backpack, there was a blood-red flag of an unknown regiment. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You heard the ancient ballad that the tall figure occasionally hummed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You think that the other party is the guidance given by the Emperor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You stood up suddenly and rushed into the Mohu passage where the other party was. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The tall figure seemed to be aware of your presence. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He stopped and slightly turned sideways. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You saw a strange face with gray beard and old appearance, but a pair of eyes as deep as bright stars. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Huh. The other party blinked in confusion. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, just when you wanted to open your mouth to express your identity. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The entire gray Mohu passage suddenly trembled violently. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The strange Astartes frowned slightly, and his tall figure ran towards you at a high speed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Unfortunately, it was too late. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. In the blink of an eye, everything in front of you began to spin and shatter. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. After everything around you returned to normal. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You unexpectedly found yourself in a terrifying area where the sky was filled with scarlet color, the ground was full of hot magma, and the towering volcanoes were constantly spewing endless flames. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your eyes slightly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You twitched your nostrils and took a deep breath of the hot air filled with the smell of sulfur and the smell of demons. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously tightened the power axe, frost blade, in your hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You hesitated for a moment, but still took a step towards the unknown front and explored the surrounding environment. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You suddenly jumped over a hot magma river, and your feet were heavily inserted into the half-meter thick volcanic ash. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At the same time, several broken pieces of ceramic steel shells also fell off from your fine power armor and fell into the depths of the magma. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You didn't care about it. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You drove the fine power armor that was still running and slowly stepped onto a piece of black volcanic rock nearby. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You suddenly saw a group of new vampires who were making hell blades. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your unexpected appearance also attracted the hungry eyes of these vampires. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. They actually gave up on making the Hellblade, wielding unfinished metal weapons and crude manufacturing tools, and rushed towards you fiercely. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You couldn't help but bared your fangs. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You waved the power axe without hesitation and jumped towards the bloodletters. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The power axe, Frost Fang, was stained with demon blood for the first time, and it also exerted its terrifying power. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. After a few dozen seconds, nearly 30 bloodletters were chopped to the ground by you one by one. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Their wounds were melting with a trace of frost. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. This was obviously the special damage of Frost Fang. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You slowly exhaled and raised your hand to wipe off the demon blood that splashed on your cheek. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, at this moment, a surge of power wrapped in burning and tyranny suddenly emerged in your body, constantly filling every inch of your flesh and blood. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You suddenly opened your eyes wide. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You seemed to hear a fleeting exclamation in your ears. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You clenched your teeth tightly, and your will seemed to be suppressed to the limit. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your soul fire was also shrinking, as if it was in a dangerous state of being on the verge of extinction. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The next moment, endless subspace flames suddenly burst out from the depths of your soul fire. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. This mysterious power squeezed the violent surging power without leaving a trace and continued to flow towards the power axe, Frost Fang. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You gradually returned to normal. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You knelt on one knee with your teeth bared, and gasped fiercely. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously looked at the power axe in your hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At this moment, this power weapon called Frost Fang has completely undergone a strange change. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The ice blue gem originally located in the center has turned into a blood red color. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Even between the flashing axe blade, countless runes were completely erased, turning into a series of strange X-shaped symbols. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. With just a glance, you instantly understood the specific meaning of these runes. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. It only represents an eternal thing. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Corn. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously want to throw away the power axe in your palm. Google search reading close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. But your rationality makes you hold the Frost Fang that has become a chaos weapon tightly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You slowly get up from the ground. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You vaguely feel that the Astartes body covered under the fine power armor has become stronger out of thin air. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You first glanced at the active volcanoes standing around, then lowered your head and pondered for a moment. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You were forcibly infused with the blessing of corn, but you still maintained your loyalty to the Emperor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your blue wolf child slightly, and gradually grinned out the fangs in your mouth. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You raised your arm, carried the chaos weapon, Frost Fang, on your shoulder armor, and walked forward. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. As you continued to go deeper, the number and scale of countless volcanic eruptions gradually increased. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. For the first time, you also saw those brass skulls that kept rolling in the depths of the hot magma. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Those brass skulls, like cannonballs, surged into the scarlet sky along with the erupting magma, and occasionally penetrated an invisible barrier and disappeared completely. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You drove the broken fine power armor to jump over the lava river that flowed freely. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The number of bloodletters you met along the way increased. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. After each battle, the violent surge of power will arrive as promised, strengthening every inch of your flesh and blood. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket and the warp fire will burn and squeeze, completely emptying the blessing from Khorne. Open black lens bracket. With the accumulation of small things, even the Frost Fang in your hand has undergone earth shaking and drastic changes. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The size of the power axe seems to have become larger and heavier. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. An old brass skull appeared at the end of the axe handle, and 2 lines of endless scarlet tears flowed from the empty black eye sockets. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The originally smooth and bright metal axe surface seemed to gradually emerge with fine lines like blood vessels. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Every time your axe blade slashed at the bloodletter, the power axe would emit an extremely piercing and terrifying scream. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. After a long time, you had to stop swinging the chaos weapon and use your huge fist covered with armor to deal with the remaining Khorne demons. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At the same time, the demons you encountered became more powerful. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. First, the quality and number of bloodletters increased exponentially. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. From a maximum of 50 to gradually breaking 100. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The hellblades and combat skills of these bloodletters have been strengthened and honed for countless years, which are enough to cause great trouble to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. If you say that endless fighting and fighting can be dealt with by will and courage. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Then the gradually damaged fine power armor cannot be restored to its original state. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. And with the increase in the number of battles, and the complete destruction of the power armor. Close black lens bracket. You can only rely on your physical strength that is far superior to the past to forcefully drive the scrapped fine power armor. Open black lens bracket. Soon after, some huge scarlet smoke columns rising from the erupting volcanoes attracted your attention. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You changed your route without hesitation. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You unexpectedly discovered a number of forges belonging to Khorne. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You took off the chaos weapon, Axe of Khorne, which is as large and heavy as a 2-handed power axe, from your back. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You lowered your head and remembered the Frost Fang that had long disappeared. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You rushed towards the nearest forge. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You encountered a huge flesh hound that looked like a canine, but its body was covered with scales and had 3 huge heads. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You launched a fierce charge towards the flesh hound. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You wielded the Axe of Khorne with one hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The blessing of Khorne after countless battles has brought your physical strength to a terrifying state. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your feet stomped heavily on Khorne's territory, and your mouth with bared fangs roared for the Emperor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The terrifying scream passed through the air, and the jumping flesh hound tried to dodge, but you still chopped off a huge head. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Then, you swung the axe of corn hard and chopped off one of the flesh hound's heads again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You faced the constantly spurting demon blood, and your broken shoulder armor hit the chest of the flesh hound heavily. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Accompanied by the painful roar of the demon, you raised the axe of corn, expressionlessly, and completely ended the opponent's life. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You stared at the huge body of the flesh hound slowly dissipating, as if returning to the scarlet sky. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You know that it will return as a corn demon. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You also understand that your endless killing is just useless. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. But at the same time, you also think that the Emperor may have his own arrangements. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The only thing you can do is to try to survive before that. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You carried the huge axe of corn. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. After the battle, the blessing from corn came again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You slowly raised a palm and aimed at the axe of corn on your shoulder. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. With the rising and burning of wisps of warp flames, a trace of blood-red surging power was squeezed out of your tough body and continuously poured into the chaos weapons. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You can now barely drive the direction of the warp flames in your body. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You unexpectedly discovered that chaos weapons are extremely afraid of warp flames. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your blue wolf boy's eyes slightly and bared your fangs. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You swaggered into the foundry that was in operation. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You grabbed a corn forger who had no time to escape and asked him if he could make power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. After getting a negative answer. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You grinned at him and crushed the twisted skull of the corn forger with your 5 fingers. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The headless corpse fell heavily to the ground. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You shook the sticky juice on your hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your blue wolf boy stared at the forgers who were holding weapons and roaring, and bared his fangs. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Soon after, you mentioned the last corn forger. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The other party trembled and pointed out to you the forging factories that could cast power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You put him down gently and patted his shoulder to comfort him. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You grinned and swung the axe of corn, splitting the relieved forger in half. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You were about to turn around and leave. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You unexpectedly saw a bunch of crude unfinished bolters on the flowing production line. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You stepped forward to inspect it, picked up 2 bolters and hung them on your waist. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You carried the axe of corn and walked out of the empty foundry. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At this moment, a gray and dim passage suddenly appeared on the volcanic rock ground not far from you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The strange Astartes brother you met a long time ago showed a tall figure. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, the other party's eyes like bright stars just noticed you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The sword of the goddess of vengeance, which he held in one hand, was instantly raised, and a very powerful psychic light burst out. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Fallen. Die. Close black lens bracket. You don't have time to dodge. Open black lens bracket. A holy psychic flame violently hits your chest. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A terrifying blow that is enough to annihilate ordinary demons only makes your fine power armor more damaged. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You don't seem to be hurt at all. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your eyes like a blue wolf boy, and your snow-white fangs appeared in your mouth. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your reason stopped your impulsive desire. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You chopped the axe of corn on your shoulder into the ground. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You slowly spread your hands towards the tall figure who was accumulating psychic energy again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You quickly expressed your loyalty to the Emperor and your contempt for chaos to the other party. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. As the psychic light gradually extinguished. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The other party looked at you carefully, hiding the shock in his eyes. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Astartes monk dropped his weapon and walked towards you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Caldor Diego, Grand Master of the Grey Knights, a wanderer in the warp blessed by the Emperor. The Astartes, whose deep eyes were like stars, put down the huge and heavy storm shield and stretched out a palm to you with a smile. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Space Wolf, a currency of the Emperor. You also grinned, and your palm covered with broken armor clasped with the other parties. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At this moment, Diego's eyes suddenly fell on the axe of corn you threw beside you. Open black lens bracket. The expression on his old face gradually became solemn, and he began to advise you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Unpurified demon weapons are not magic weapons. The power of chaos will affect your mind all the time, pry open your weak heart, and eventually devour your soul. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You patted the broken power armor on your body with a helpless expression, explaining to the other party that this is just an emergency option. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You also believe that the Emperor blesses you, and chaos can't take advantage of you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego with a white beard shook his head slightly, and he seemed to let out a slight sigh. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Then, he handed you the sword of the goddess of vengeance in his other hand without hesitation. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously wanted to refuse, but the other party's deep eyes like stars stared at you without blinking. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You took the other party's weapon with a solemn expression. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You still chose to carry the axe of corn on your back. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego didn't say much about this. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He picked up the huge storm shield standing beside him and asked you about your next plan. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously looked at the other party. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego explained to you with his eyes narrowed. Close black lens bracket. The subspace is treacherous and changeable, and full of dangers, but Korn's domain is by no means an ordinary poor mountain and bad land. Open black lens bracket. Although you and he will not be afraid of any challenge from any demon, the best solution is to get away as soon as possible. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You hesitated. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You explained to Diego the simple idea of recasting the power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego blinked and agreed to your request. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The two of you carefully identified the direction. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You quickly walked towards the largest foundry in the erupting tall volcanic landform. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Along the way, you told the curious Diego about the cause and effect of being ambushed by the Lord of Change and accidentally involved in the subspace. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego smiled after listening to you with a gentle expression, and his fleeting smile seemed to carry a trace of nostalgia for the past. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He smiled and assured you that if you wanted, he had many ways to send you back to the physical universe. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You looked at Diego with curiosity. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. But the other party said that you needed to recast the power armor before you could proceed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Soon after, the two of you came to the outskirts of the foundry. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Thousands of bloodletters wielding hell blades rushed towards you, and dozens of flesh hounds with only one head also rushed out of the shadow of the black rock. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You bared your fangs and took a deep breath. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You and Diego, who was smiling, looked at each other. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You both launched a magnificent battle charge. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You swung the sword of the goddess of vengeance vigorously. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Wisp after wisp of scorching warp flames continued to flow from your body into this ancient greatsword. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A 10-meter-long psychic flame slashed out from the cold and shining blade and rushed into the oncoming bloodletters. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. In an instant, dozens of bloodletters did not even struggle or howl, and they completely turned into handfuls of falling black ashes. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously opened your eyes wide at the blue wolf boy. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your mouth curled up into an arc, and your snow-white fangs gleamed with a cold luster. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You once again wielded the sword of the goddess of vengeance, and the fierce psychic flames annihilated countless demons like harvesting weeds. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At the same time, Diego, who had just withdrawn his sight, had his gray beard trembling slightly, and his deep eyes revealed admiration. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He rushed into the group of demons without flinching, and swung the heavy storm shield violently. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A flesh hound that pounced on Diego was smashed into pieces by a powerful force in the blink of an eye. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Then, Diego's gray beard trembled, and he raised a huge armored palm with a solemn expression. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The wisps of leaping psychic energy burst into fierce light, and circles of terrifying psychic flames erupted violently with him as the center point. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The next moment, the vampires and flesh hounds within a radius of dozens of meters all howled in despair, and quickly burned into charcoal and ash. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. As time passed, you crushed the head of the last flesh hound with the heavy soles of your power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with a gentle smile on his face, slowly walked to your side. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He blinked his deep eyes and praised your fighting style and your skillful use of psychic power. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He used to think that the Space Wolves would not have any think tank units. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Now it seems that maybe he has been wandering in the warp for too long and is ignorant. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You couldn't help but blink at the blue wolf boy, and nodded awkwardly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Then, you continued your journey to the foundry to kill demons. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, your excessive killing has aroused the extreme vigilance of the foundry's defense forces. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Even the scarlet smoke that continued to rise above the foundry seemed to be much thicker. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Accompanied by the roar of countless volcanic eruptions, a metal door covered with brass rivets was pushed open heavily. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A huge 5-meter tall slaughter beast rushed out of the factory. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. On the opponent's broad back full of hell blades stood a giant bloodletter that had grown several times larger. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. It seemed to be a bloodletter that had experienced countless battles and had reached the peak of its combat skills and terrifying brute force. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Herald of Khorne. Close black lens bracket. A few minutes later, accompanied by the terrible howling of the huge slaughter beast being burned by the terrifying flames. Open black lens bracket. You carried the long-horned head of the Khorne Herald, and slowly walked to the closed door of the foundry. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You casually threw the bloody head at the metal door, making a loud noise. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your eyes slightly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Feeling the continuous infusion of Khorne's blessing and the continuous expulsion of the warp fire, you grinned with fangs in your mouth. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You took a deep breath. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You announced an important news to the Khorne forgers hiding behind the metal door. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Any forger who helps you recast the power armor can get the privilege of a demon life to spare a demon under the sword. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Maybe you can also get a little praise from the Lord of Slaughter. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Of course, you also welcome the last holdouts to attack, but the attackers need to undergo a spiritual fire to reform themselves. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. As long as the other party can barely survive, then you will leave without saying anything. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The heavy metal door in front of you gradually opens. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. One after another, the Khorne forgers with distorted expressions and fanatical eyes kneeled down to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. They kept chanting Khorne's slogans and prayers. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At this moment, Diego, holding the storm shield in one hand, drove the Holy Shield Terminator and came to your side. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. His gray beard trembled slightly, and he squinted his eyes and scanned the Chaos believers who were gradually entering a state of fanaticism. Open black lens bracket. Young monk of the Space Wolves, perhaps it was a wrong decision to let you come here to recast the power armor. Diego suddenly sighed heavily and whispered to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You frowned slightly and turned your eyes to look at the other party. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with a solemn expression, thinks you should follow him for the time being. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Khorne's attention may bring you unexpected terrorist crises. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. There are still countless mysterious areas in the warp that the four gods cannot touch. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. For example, in the chaotic and disordered formless abyss, there are numerous foundries of the dark mechanic church that worships chaos alone. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He repaired the Terminator power armor and replenished the explosive bombs by himself, and also went here to randomly rob a factory and put an end to the heretics there. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You lowered your head and thought for a while. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You stared at the sword of the goddess of vengeance tightly held in your palm. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You felt the warp flames in your body that had not yet subsided. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You politely rejected Diego's kind proposal. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego nodded slowly, and he did not forcibly stop you from doing what you wanted. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He asked to help you purify the demon equipment. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You agreed without hesitation. Close black lens bracket. You and Diego passed the Chaos believers kneeling in prayer and entered the foundry. Open black lens bracket. One after another, the Khorne forgers with fanatical eyes stood up and surrounded you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. With their exquisite technical means, they used only simple metal tools to dismantle the damaged equipment on your body. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You let the Khorne forgers remove the broken and scarred fine power armor and 2 unfinished grenade launchers. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At the same time, your 2 hands also grasped the sword of vengeance and the axe of Khorne. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You plan to kill if you find anything wrong. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, these fanatical Khorne forgers did not make any overstepping actions. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. They began to measure your body shape and asked you about your requirements for the power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Requirements. My only requirement is extreme sturdiness and durability. After all, killing demons also requires protection. You narrowed your eyes at the blue wolf boy and grinned. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A dozen Khorne forgers swallowed subconsciously. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. They sped up their movements, quickly completed the calculation of their bodies, and quickly turned away from you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You stared at the huge demon furnace in the distance, where blood-red flames gradually rose, and you seemed to hear the roar of countless hammers hitting metal. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You passed the Khorne forgers who were getting busy. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You came to Diego, who looked solemn and seemed to be ready to eliminate the demons in the next second. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You asked him about the method of purifying demon equipment. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. If you were in the physical universe, I suggest you find a priest in the chapter, arrange complicated rituals and continuous prayers, but now we are in the subspace, so the method is much simpler. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with his gray beard trembling slightly, smiled at you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He slowly raised his huge armored hand, and a ray of psychic flame suddenly appeared above his fingertips. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You suddenly realized it. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Since the fire from the Emperor can burn demons, it can naturally expel the chaotic power entrenched in weapons and equipment. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You lowered your head and stared at the axe of Khorne in your palm. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You temporarily gave up the idea of trying it. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You still need a sturdy container to hold the blessing of Khorne. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You patiently waited for the new power armor that belonged to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At this moment, countless Khorne forgers shuttled back and forth between the demon furnaces and production lines of roaring Shao. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The surging metal lava continued to flow, and metal parts emitting a scorching breath were carefully cast one by one. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Every time a part was cast, the Khorne forgers gathered around and chanted prayers to the parts. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You did not stop any of their actions. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You stared at a chaos power armor that was far more powerful in both defense and function than before and gradually took on its basic shape. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. As time passed, until the last blood-red metal shoulder armor with terrifying horns was installed on the power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, who had been silent all the time, suddenly raised his hand and patted your shoulder. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You nodded slightly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You and Diego walked to the front of the Chaos Power armor with a hideous and terrifying shape, and sharp horns were installed on the heavy armor of the shoulder armor, elbows and even knees. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You took a deep breath. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You followed Diego's instructions and gradually guided the warp fire in your body to spread toward the Chaos Power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The psychic flames from Diego's palm gradually rose. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He carefully helped you purify the chaos power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, at this moment, you felt that the warp fire in your body suddenly surged. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Endless warp fire overflowed from your pores and completely enveloped your entire body. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The terrifying flames quickly erupted violently toward everything around. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. In an instant, countless corn forgers who had no time to escape were completely burned to ashes. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Only Diego, who couldn't help but open his eyes wide, was unharmed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At this moment, the warp fire that was still spreading everywhere suddenly shrank. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A 3-meter tall, huge but headless phantom slowly condensed behind you. Close black lens bracket. Diego, who was in shock, suddenly became alert. Open black lens bracket. With deep eyes, he suddenly raised the heavy storm shield, as if he was about to strike at the headless Mohu phantom in the next second. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, your behavior prevented the other party's next move. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You seem to have entered a state of hazy consciousness. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You slowly raised a thick arm covered with plastic steel interfaces. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A huge hammer made entirely of subspace flames is held tightly in your palm. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At the same time, the headless phantom condensed behind you also slowly raised a thick arm with flowing flames. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The seemingly endless subspace flames spurted forward again, completely covering the hideous and terrifying chaos-powered armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. And as the subspace flames surge and roll, wisps of blood-red chaotic power are being ablated and purified. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The headless phantom's thick arms fall silently. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. In your thoughts, you also wave the phantom of the hammer in your hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The next moment, the flame hammer and the chaos power armor collided fiercely, and the trembling buzz that could tear the air resounded throughout the foundry. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Countless corn blacksmiths hiding behind the demon forge and in the corners of the foundry were instantly shattered into flesh and blood. Close black lens bracket. Diego also had to raise his storm shield and quickly blocked it in front of him. At the same time, the tall figure continued to retreat towards the rear. Open black lens bracket. The headless phantom once again swings down, its thick arms flowing with flames. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You also wielded the giant hammer phantom again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Every concussive strike will cause earth-shaking changes to the chaos power armor in front of you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The blood-red thick metal shell gradually turned into a dark steel color. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Countless terrifying and ferocious metal collision angles have not disappeared, but have only shortened a few points. Instead, they have added a sense of beauty that belongs to forged objects. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Under the scorching heat of a large amount of subspace flames, 4 servo-robotic arms of different shapes quietly appeared behind the power backpack. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You seem to have no awareness of this, you are just following the flaming phantom of the headless phantom that keeps swinging the huge hammer. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. After 13 concussive strikes. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A brand new power armor that is completely different from the past in both shape and essence is presented to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The endless subspace flames begin to shrink and fade into your body. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At this moment, The headless phantom that had returned to silence once again raised its thick arms flowing with flames. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Two unfinished bolters were quickly swept into the depths of the flame tide that had not subsided by a wisp of subspace flame. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The headless phantom slowly raised two thick arms with flowing flames, and swung them down heavily. Close black lens bracket. With the last trembling sound, the two unfinished bolt guns merged into one. Open black lens bracket. A brand new storm bolter was miraculously forged. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The headless phantom dropped a palm condensed with flames and patted your shoulder gently, as if saying its final farewell to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Then, the endless subspace flames quickly faded and returned to your body. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You gradually wake up. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You stared at the power armor that was completely different from the past and fell into a sluggish state. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You blinked blankly at the cyan wolf boy. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously raised a palm, but you were holding a simple-looking storm bolter in your palm. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The next moment, Diego, with a solemn expression, slowly walks towards you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. With his gray beard trembling slightly, he looked at you again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Then, a bright smile that had never been seen before gradually appeared on the other party's old face. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Come on. Young boys of the space wolves. Let's embark on a thrilling journey of slaying demons. Diego, who looked excited, seemed to have burst out with far more enthusiasm than before, shouting to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You twitched your nose and let out a helpless sigh. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. With Diego's help, you put on the power armor you named, steel carapace, again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You slowly raised a thick arm covered with thick armor and squeezed the huge metal palm again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The four extremely flexible servo-mechanical arms also expand and contract repeatedly according to your wishes, and the attack position is enough to cover any range within 3 meters. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. After completing all preparations, you and Diego found the explosive inventory in the foundry and quickly replenished the ammunition. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your 4 servo robot arms also carry more explosive materials. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You returned the sword of Nemesis to Diego. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. This time, Diego did not refuse. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. With a smile on his face, he no longer has any intention of admonishing you for using unpurified demonic weapons without permission. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You and Diego stepped out of the foundry with a new look. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego blinked his deep eyes and asked you about your next plans and thoughts. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Continue killing demons or leave temporarily. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You are gradually adapting to the unfamiliar but powerful, steel carapace, powered armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You have decided to temporarily leave the realm of Khorne and follow Diego into the more mysterious and treacherous subspace. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You have embarked on a journey away from the realm of Khorne. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Although the flow and changes of everything in subspace are irregular. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. But Diego, the only designated wanderer in the warp, still knows a fixed passage to leave the realm of Khorne. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You gradually walked out of the terrifying area where countless volcanoes roared and erupted. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You entered a bloody plain full of corpses. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You noticed that blood-red flowers shaped like heads and with cores like human faces bloomed on countless corpses, densely stretching towards the bloody sky in the distance. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, that is the flower of fear. Its fragrance will arouse the desire to kill in people with loose wills, making the other party forever indulge in the terrifying illusion of killing everything. Diego seemed to notice your curiosity and explained to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously twitched your nose, but only smelled the faint fragrance of flowers and the bloody smell brought by countless corpses. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. I said, this is for mortal warriors and Astartes with loose wills. Even if you and I eat it, it won't have any effect. Diego, with a white beard, grinned. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, the next second, Diego's expression gradually became solemn. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. He slowly narrowed his deep eyes, staring into the depths of the endless blood-red plain. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You also followed his gaze, but saw a large, slowly creeping blood-red tide. It turned out to be a terrifying number of Khorne Legion. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Young boy, it seems that the Lord of Slaughter doesn't want you to leave easily. Diego subconsciously widened his eyes, and he turned his head and said to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your eyes and grinned at the blue wolf boy, showing the snow-white fangs in your mouth. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. One of your hands tightly grasped the storm bolter named Iron Hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The other hand held the axe of Khorne on the solid and heavy black shoulder armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. As for the demons, just kill them all. Close black lens bracket. Soon after, the corpse land of the blood plains began to roar. Open black lens bracket. 88 giant steel bulls covered in heavy blood-colored armor were perfectly controlled by the vampires, forming the famous blood-crushing cavalry, and launched a terrifying charge towards you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Countless fear flowers were crushed by the huge iron hooves, creating a blood-colored road with petals and fragrance flying. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You and Diego each raised the storm bolter in your palm. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The roar of the huge bomb seemed to resound throughout the realm of Khorne for the first time. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your eyes at the blue wolf boy, and calmly fired at the vampires riding the giant steel bulls. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The bombs fired by Diego seemed to be wrapped in psychic flames. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Every time he fired, a huge steel bull would be completely ignited, causing the painful howl of the terrifying demon. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The sharp vanguard of the blood-crushing cavalry was getting closer and closer to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The corpses scattered all over the ground seemed to feel the shock from the iron hoof. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The broken bones and limbs gradually emerged from the shadow of the fear flower, as if the dead were about to revive. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. As the fear flowers flew and shattered, a heavy ammunition box fell heavily from one of your servo-mechanical arms, smashing a lot of yellow and smelly broken skulls. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You raised the empty-barreled storm bolter without hesitation. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The flexible servo-mechanical arm quickly retracted and reloaded the exhausted ammunition for you. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, a violent steel bull that had just lost its driver rushed to you first. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously drove the iron armor to dodge sideways, and the axe of Khorne, in the other hand, was directly across in front of you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The terrifying axe blade easily cut into the thick blood-colored steel armor, and with just one stroke, it split the giant body of the violent steel bull, splitting the opponent in two. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with a solemn expression, suddenly raised the sword of the goddess of vengeance. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. With the leap of a large amount of psychic light, a huge wall of psychic flames rose from the ground in an instant, blocking the Blood Crusher cavalry's charge path. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You quickly adjusted the shooting mode of the Iron Hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You pulled the trigger without hesitation. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. One after another, the burst of explosives continued to bombard each Blood Crusher cavalry who tried to cross the psychic flames. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your servo-mechanical arm also kept replenishing the consumed ammunition for the Storm Bolter. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You almost used this sturdy and durable Storm Bolter as a heavy-duty woodcutter gun for fire suppression. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. For a moment, with the tacit cooperation between you and Diego, the Blood Crusher cavalry whose charge momentum was abruptly stopped was slaughtered by you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, 8,888 bloodletters wielding hellblades and blood raiders of Khorne followers who let out terrifying roars gradually surrounded you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You quickly made an accurate judgment of the battlefield situation. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, mobile warfare. We can't let them surround us. You shouted to Diego with a solemn expression. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The other party blinked his deep eyes and nodded to you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You immediately extended a servo-mechanical arm behind you and grabbed the Storm Bolter in your hand and the heavy ammunition box thrown on the ground. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You and Diego continued to run towards the enemy's flank. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A servo-mechanical arm flexibly took over the trigger of the Storm Bolter, and the roar of the bomb that had just stopped resounded around again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You wielded the Axe of Khorne without mercy. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You expressionlessly hacked to death 8 Khorne believers, Blood Reavers, who were wearing horn iron helmets and had almost completely exposed upper bodies. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At the same time, the fleshhounds that quickly crossed the demon tide rushed to your front from time to time, trying to block your progress. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You swung your metal fists covered with black armor at the same time, and with the continuous bursts of the servo-mechanical arm, you completely smashed these annoying Khorne demons. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. And Diego, who was following closely behind you, harvested the lives of countless Khorne demons with every swing of the sword of the goddess of vengeance in his hand, and smashed a group of Blood Reavers who had no time to dodge every time he raised the heavy storm shield. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Even so, the number of demons surrounding you did not decrease at all, but increased instead. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The 8 huge slaughter beasts, under the control of the Khorne Herald, gradually kept up with your pace. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You had to rush to smash the Khorne pioneers with a burst of explosive bombs, and Diego took the opportunity to release the terrifying psychic flames, quickly igniting the huge bodies of the violent beasts. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The violent beasts in extreme pain seemed to have entered a killing state without distinguishing between friend and foe. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A large number of bloodletters and countless blood plunderers were beaten into blood and flesh all over the ground, constantly soaking the underground roots of the horror flowers. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You took this opportunity to gradually distance yourself from the vanguard of the Legion. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego drove the Holy Shield power armor and quickly approached you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Lord of Slaughter can't just send these cannon fodder demons to stop you and me. I'm afraid that the unknown Khorne demon is on the way here, and the only mission of this Khorne Legion is to slow us down. Diego said to you with a solemn expression. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You turned your head and glanced at the demon team that was still eliminating the chaos. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You blinked at the blue wolf boy, and acknowledged Diego's judgment of the battlefield. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You began to run towards the depths of the bloody plain. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You must pass through the bloody plain to reach the fixed passage that Diego is familiar with. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At this moment, a blood throne in the bloody tide seemed to have discovered your movements. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Accompanied by the angry command of a Khorne messenger, countless flesh hounds once again rushed out of the vanguard of the Khorne Legion and chased after you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You controlled the servo-mechanical arm without looking back, and used the storm bolter to continuously shoot at the relentless flesh hounds. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. And as time went by, an extremely chaotic and terrifying storm seemed to have set off above the bloody plain. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Even the terrifying color of the bloody sky became much thicker, as if it was filled with an unknown change. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You were still running and had no time to observe carefully. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A fleshhound with its mouth wide open escaped the continuous bombardment of the storm bolter and rushed to your back. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The next moment, the other two servo-mechanical arms carrying the ammunition boxes instantly discarded the important supplies, quickly extended, and tore the huge body of the fleshhound. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The burning demon blood splashed on the power backpack of the iron armor, leaving no trace of blood. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Just between the fleshhound's easily torn flesh. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A terrifying magic sword with wisps of blood-red flames wrapped around it, and sharp fangs on both the blade and the guard, fell with a bang, making a metallic collision sound. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously turned your head and looked back. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You couldn't help but open your eyes wide. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You saw that the terrifying magic sword inserted into the ground seemed to have self-awareness. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. It actually flew through the air in an instant and leapt into your palm that was shaking back and forth. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The next second, a thick blood-red beam of light suddenly shot up into the sky. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Khorne Legion on the blood plain suddenly stopped any movement and knelt down in front of the blood-red beam of light. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Blood sacrifice to the blood god, skull sacrifice to the skull throne. The Khorne demons set off an extremely fanatical prayer frenzy. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. At the same time, in the deepest part of Khorne's domain. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Under the bloody pedestal, there were countless skulls of all creatures, and on the ancient brass throne with rivers of blood flowing on the edge of the handrail, a fleeting low laughter seemed to echo. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Boy, stir up your soul, gather your will, and polish your mind. You can resist the corruption of chaos. Close black lens bracket. Diego roared with a solemn expression. Open black lens bracket. He drove the Holy Shield Terminator to run towards you at a high speed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego kept swinging the storm shield and the sword of the goddess of vengeance, and quickly annihilated the bloodhounds crawling on the ground. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your tall figure was completely shrouded in a blood-red beam of light. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You did not feel the familiar signs of chaos corruption, and even did not hear any whispers in your ears. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The subspace flame in your body did not produce the slightest movement. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You could not help but blink the blue wolf boy and bared the fangs in your mouth. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You stared at the terrifying magic sword in your palm and vaguely sensed some ancient information that was shattered. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Magic sword. Bloodthirsty Katos. You could not help but raise your chin, staring at Diego with a solemn expression, and said slowly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with a gray beard, slightly widened his eyes and sighed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. I thought this was an ancient legend circulating in the realm of Khorne. Diego's old face squeezed out some wrinkles, and deep eyes showed heavy worries. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Lord of Slaughter stuffed a terrifying magic sword into the belly of a flesh hound. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. If someone is brave enough, strong enough, or lucky enough, then he will become the new champion of Khorne in the endless fighting, and this magic sword is the ultimate reward for the champion. Close black lens bracket. Until the Lord of Slaughter gets tired of him, then the sword holder will be completely devoured by a flesh hound again, waiting for the next champion to appear. Open black lens bracket. Soon after, the blood-red light column that rose into the sky gradually dissipated, and even the chaotic storm over the blood-red plains completely subsided. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You threw down the terrifying magic sword expressionlessly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. But every time, this magic sword will reappear on your steel shell power armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Either behind the power backpack, or on the waist suitable for hanging weapons, or in the metal claws of the servo-mechanical arm. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You narrowed your eyes slightly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously activated the steel armor, and threw the terrifying magic sword with all your strength towards the blood-red sky. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, the magic sword still in the air turned around in an instant, quickly flew in front of you, and inserted into the skeleton ground where the terrifying flowers kept swaying. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You couldn't help but look at Diego. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You took the sword of the goddess of vengeance handed over by the other party. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You drove the subspace flames in your body and Diego's psychic flames to continuously impact the hideous sword body of the terrifying magic sword. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The next moment, the angry roar from the Khorne Legion once again resounded throughout the bloody plain. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The nearly endless Khorne demons launched a massive and desperate charge in your direction. Open black lens bracket. The blood-red sky, which had originally returned to calm, has once again stirred up a chaotic bloody storm. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You looked up. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You even found that an uncountable number of Khorne demons were gradually gathering together. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You immediately stopped destroying the magic sword with Diego. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Khorne demons immediately stopped charging and knelt down to pray in your direction again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Even in the blood-red sky, the terrifying traces of countless Khorne demons slowly dissipated, as if they had never existed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You looked at the terrifying magic sword stuck in the ground with a gloomy face. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You lowered your head and pondered for a moment. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You pulled out the terrifying magic sword without hesitation and hung it on the waist of the iron armor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You felt an irrepressible anger at Khorne's forced blessing. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You quickly blinked the blue wolf boy. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You took a deep breath of the polluted air with a faint floral scent and the smell of blood. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Your reason quickly calmed the rage that was boiling deep in your chest. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Controlling your emotions was the first lesson you were forced to learn when you became a space wolf. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The many powers controlled by the Lord of Slaughter do not allow you to release your anger at will. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with his deep eyes slightly narrowed, suddenly put down his heavy storm shield, and a huge hand covered with armor patted your shoulder armor hard to comfort you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You returned the sword of vengeance to Diego. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You and the other party set foot on the difficult road across the bloody plain again. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The terrifying number of Khorne legions followed you far behind like a follower, as if escorting and threatening. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Along the way, whether it was the bloodletter wielding the hellblade, the giant steel bull passing by, or the wild slaughter beast. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Every Khorne demon that encounters you will kneel down and pray to you, and then launch a desperate charge. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You keep swinging the axe of Khorne to smash the opponent's demon body. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. But as long as the terrible sword is still there, you will still attract countless Khorne demons to surround you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The continuous blessing of Khorne and the burning of the warp fire have made your physical strength reach a terrifying level. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You don't care much about it. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You just want to smash one more Khorne demon. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with a solemn expression, thinks that the destructive power you now possess may exceed that of an ordinary Khorne demon. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You grinned and remained silent. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You carried the expanded and heavier axe of Khorne. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You charged at a group of giant steel bulls that were crushing the ground with an expressionless face. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Soon after, you finally crossed the bloody plains and came to a steep valley. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Khorne legion that followed you seemed to have received new instructions and began to station on the spot and adjust the team. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You walked towards a steep mountain called Top of the Blood Falls. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with deep eyes, told you about his past experience of killing the bloodthirster, snatching his weapons, and reforging the broken sword. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You opened your eyes wide and listened carefully to his story. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Even though you were both blessed by the Emperor, you still thought Diego was much stronger than you. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Whether it was his will and soul or his combat experience, he had suffered countless crises after wandering in the warp for countless years, but he still survived tenaciously. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. However, just as you were about to step onto the top of the Blood Falls. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. A chaotic storm suddenly appeared with the bloody sky. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. 8-10-meter tall Khorne demons with huge red flesh wings flapping behind them and double horns on their heads suddenly gathered. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. They roared angrily as they fell from the sky, wielding terrifying and hideous demonic weapons in their claws, and blocked you directly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You subconsciously took a deep breath. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. In a servo-mechanical arm behind the iron carapace, the already loaded storm bolter was instantly raised, ready to go. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The Khorne axe, in your palm, slowly dragged between the rocks, and the terrifying axe blade forcibly pulled out a huge dent about a foot deep. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Come on. The lackeys of the Lord of Slaughter. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Diego, with a solemn expression, slowly put up the storm shield, and the blade of the sword of vengeance burned with a brilliant psychic flame. Close black lens bracket.